Hey Divine Ones, Ingrid Anna here, leading seven-figure diva strategist. I wanted to share something with you. I've had so many people write to me, old students, past clients, current clients and students, thanking me for my work. I've had a lot of change and transformation happen over the last little while. Hey everyone. And people have also been commenting a lot on my energy, and that one woman put it, "Oh, you're always fabulous, but there's just something different about your vibration." Hey Anu, hey gorgeous ones, hey Adora. Hey gorgeous ones, thank you for the love. I'm very vulnerable and open in my private groups, my paid groups, just because it is a really deeply sacred space, and I always try to be honest. I try to just tell it like it is. I try to take risks in the way I communicate my journey and my truth. I try to share my weaknesses and my strengths, and I want to share something with you today that has radically transformed my life. Now, you may have heard me talk about moving from being a victim to a vixen, and there's many, many different layers. Hey Christina, of that, guys, so many layers. So I, have really ramped up my revenue, my reach. I've radically grown my business. I went from hustling $100 sessions to selling out my massive packages. I then launched my program High-End Empire, my mastermind. Anyway, all of that jazz, right? And it was great. It was amazing. It's been an amazing ride. And then there was still this level of sort of heaviness and drama and family karma. It was difficult. I started working with my husband a couple of years ago, and there was always this, we have a lot of love and he's an amazing person, but there was kind of like this friction and this heaviness where I really felt that I was carrying a lot of responsibility and it would drag me down. Some days I barely felt like I could get out of bed. I was so tired. And I've suffered from really, really debilitating adrenal fatigue in my past. I used to have a clothing line in New York. I was a complete and utter workaholic. I was completely ruled by fear, made some really stupid business decisions, and I was pretty much a maniac. And one day I couldn't get out of bed, literally, and I was living in this very chic NoHo apartment that was like a cubicle. It was so small. And I could barely get up to go to the bathroom. And that's when I realized I had this severe adrenal fatigue. So through all of that journey, I've gone through so much healing. I've studied mind body medicine, eating psychology. I do my own deep healing and prayers, and I've worked with different therapists, and I've upped my vibration and let go of what I call a lot of junk in my trunk. But as you all know, you've got to keep peeling back the layers and peeling back the layers, right? Who's with me there? And over the Christmas period, my dad's dying from cancer, so I was spending a lot of time with him. And my sister was there, and we've had a really deeply challenging relationship due to our upbringing. I have two very lovely parents. I have a crazy Russian father and a Macedonian mother. Grew up with two very intensive workaholics, lovely people. But there was a lot of pain and a lot of trauma and struggle growing up. So because of that, most of my life, without even realizing it, because I'd become so conditioned to living in this sort of panic, fear-based vibration, just the push, right? And at Christmas time, I spent time with my sister, and we had a very deep, deep talk. And she shared to me, her pain about our journey and our relationship. And I just stayed so grounded and such in love. And instead of feeling like I needed to protect myself and to be heard myself, I just decided to really listen. And I had to use every ounce of myself to just stay present and be deeply compassionate to her story and her pain and her anger and her grief to do with our relationship together. And I think it's taken me all of over 40 years to really be able to have a level of compassion, trust in myself, love for myself, so that I can then have a deeper level of love for her. And I was kind of laughing at myself, and I think sometimes it's so important to just, we have to see ourselves, we have to see where we F ourselves up, right? And where, we're maybe not as evolved as we'd like to think that we are. And I just decided with my family members and to, like I would say, oh, this person did this to me or attacked me, or this is, just gave it up. I just gave up the story. And I have a lot of people come to work with me and their energy is very dense. It's a very heavy, dense, burdened vibration. And I tell you, it's pretty hard to live that way. And we're usually gaining something from it. We're gaining something from it because in some way we're addicted to the drama, we're addicted to being angry, we're addicted to being actual victims, right? We really are, without sometimes even realizing it. So I started to put a mirror up to my face and have a good hard look at myself. And I decided to give my sister and certain other people in my family exactly the love and the compassion that I was seeking for myself. And I really had to, take a deep breath and say, you know what, Ingrid? You've done all this work on yourself, but in a way you still perpetuate drama and you're still a victim. So in that moment, so much rage and grief and story and just where my energetic vibration was completely shifted. I swear to God, I just literally, like, my sister and I ended up talking for like an hour and a half, and then she sort of came to me and I came to her, and we had this beautiful like healing. And I also released any attachment to how she would respond. And it's the same also in life, in business, in relationships. We can only really be truly responsible, with how we respond, right? How we decide to show up. So I just, in my marriage, in my business, my relationships with clients, students, my family, I have really learned to sort of just really tune into how I want to feel, which is a really loved up and aligned and compassionate. And really that comes from within, doesn't it? I can't really give that to anybody else unless I truly feel that for myself. So I'm not an expert in this at all, but what I will tell you is I know my life, through giving up my blame and my victimhood and my attack, even if someone had been quite abusive in my life or whatever, to just give it up. Right? I've had clients recently where I've shared this story about, and just shared my heart, and just, I'm like, when will you give it up? When will you just, if you've got a toxic relationship with your mother or a toxic relationship with your father or both, when will you just stop actually feeding that fire? Because if that's what you believe that you have, that's all you're going to create, because you won't allow anything else in. And here's what I know about people, and I'm saying this, including myself, with the utmost respect for people. But we're so, a lot of us, so gorgeous and beautiful and whole, and there's wounds, right? We're all a bit wounded. And the more that I can see that within myself and then have compassion for that in others, I'm becoming just more at peace, more calm, more humble, more in awe, more, I hope, loving, right? So that's all I wanted to share today. I feel that it is so important if you want to have a much richer, juicier life, business, connections, you have to look at yourself. And we have to allow the ego a little bit to dissolve. You can pick it up whenever you want later. and really take responsibility for what we're perpetuating in our lives. Actually, my sister just sent me a comment. That's funny. Okay, guys, I hope this has been of service. It's not easy to look at ourselves and to really see where we may be being victims, right? Hey, Diva, thank you for that beautiful comment, Lisa. Where we perpetuate, if I'm there blaming my husband or sort of angry and aggressive with him, if someone sent me that energy, it would be pretty horrible. I'm not really good with that type of vibration, right? So I have to be so self-responsible and look at how am I speaking about my needs? How am I showing up? What is my energy like when I'm just, in every single part of my day? Where am I at? I was asking someone actually how she was feeling just now. We're about to do a private session, and I said, how are you feeling? Please be honest with me, because I could feel her energy. It was one of those denser sort of energies. And she told me that she felt anxious and a little bit like she doesn't trust herself enough. And I said, babe, this is old. This is such old story. You've actually been in this state for most of your life. Hey, gorgeous. And so, hey, Lisa, one of my teammates is here. I'll be with you in one sec. So, I'm inviting you to flip the switch, and I want to know, how would it feel for you if you did truly trust yourself? How would you be showing up as a mother? How would you be showing up in your partnership? How would you be showing up online and in your business, right? If you really truly had everything you desire and you knew without a shadow of a doubt that it was coming, where would you soften? Where would there be healing? How would your energy actually be, right? Because that is one of the most powerful things for me to get me out of that past kind of energetic vibration. It's what I call future embodying. And it's not to live in this sort of projected future and not be present, but it's to stop the pattern, because so many of us are caught in the pattern of that repetition without realizing it, right? So if you want to change and shift your energetic vibration, you have to change the thoughts, the environment, your way of relating and being, right? You have to replace it with a new habit as well. It's a habit. So I've got to go and have this meeting. I'm sending you so much love. Be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself, be kind, and do look at yourself, because from that moment, your heart will open up wider. You'll see things that you've been denying, and you will leave the victimhood for good and become the diva vixen that you are, and you'll be able to receive so much more with so much more grace, because without that friggin' junk in your trunk and that trauma and that pain, and I'm telling you, I've been through it all in my life, physically, spiritually, emotionally, on my knees. Hey, Alison, and I think at some stage in our life, being human, we all get to that point, right? Where we're just like, I get it. But at the end of the day, you are the holy creatrix. You are the diva. You are the master of everything. And you have the ability to literally shape shift your body, your life, your finances, your relationships. Hey, gorgeous Brandy, literally in a moment. I call it the sacred vow. It's a declaration. You say, I will change. You look at yourself. And if you have to admit that you're a friggin' vixen, yeah, admit that you're a vixen. If you have to admit that you're a friggin' vixen, admit it. Look at yourself. You might cry. You might cry as your heart opens, or you go, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Oh my God, what have I been doing? And in that moment, you have great awareness. And from that point, that is when you will shift and change. But if you're sitting there being this self-righteous person, you're stuck. You're not open. You're not open. And it's very hard to heal and ascend when you're blocked, because you won't receive. You can't receive. You can't receive the clients easily. You can't receive the business easily. You can't receive healing in your marriage and your relationships, because you're stuck. Because you're so caught up in being a victim. And nothing changes. It just gets heavier and heavier and heavier to carry. Okay? So as I said, I'm not an expert in this, but it's just changed my life radically. I'm just sharing my story to invite you to really just take that leap into releasing that victimhood, forgiving others, not condoning, but having a deep level of forgiveness of yourself, of others, and setting them free and setting yourself free in that process. Okay? Mwah. Lashings of love. You can do this. Hey, Heather.